Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving into something that honestly sounds straight out of a sci-fi movie, but it's becoming our reality really fast. We're talking about the rise of dark factories.
Yeah, dark factories, that's the term, isn't it? And we've been going through this material you sent over, especially this Dark Factories book by Amr Farag. It's kind of eye-opening,
It really is. It's not just some minor upgrade to how we make things. It's like a total overhaul. Factories running themselves, practically.
Yeah.
Really makes you think about, what work will even look like in the future.
Exactly. Totally reimagining the whole landscape of industry.
So what we want to do today is really break down these dark factories, look at how fast they're spreading globally, and the huge impact they're having. We want to give you a clear picture of this whole transformation without getting bogged down in, overly technical stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And I think to really get you hooked, there's this quote in Farag's book. It's from Warren Bennis. He says, "The factory of the future will have two employees, a man and a dog. The man's job will be to feed the dog, and the dog's job will be to keep the man from touching the equipment."
Okay, that's funny, but...
It is, right? But it also makes you think, because we already have factories, like right now running with 0 humans on the floor. So, maybe it's not so far-fetched after all.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Okay, so let's get down to it. What exactly are these dark factories? Because it's got to be more than just a few robots here and there, right?
Right. A dark factory, they also call them lights-out factories, is where automation is so advanced that basically it can produce stuff with no humans around at all. The goal is for the whole manufacturing process to be totally autonomous. And this all happens because of, a pretty amazing mix of technologies all working together.
Okay, so what are the big players? What technologies are we talking about?
So, think of it like this. AI, artificial intelligence, that's like the brain, constantly analyzing data to make production better, on the fly. Then you got advanced robotics, the hands and arms actually doing the work, putting stuff together, even 3D printing. Then the Internet of Things, IoT, that's like the nervous system. It uses smart sensors everywhere in the factory, gathering data on everything, like how the machines are running, the temperature, you name it. This way, it can even predict when a machine might need fixing so everything runs smoothly.
So it's kind of like a well-oiled...
Exactly. Super efficient. And then you have digital twins. So imagine a virtual copy of the entire factory. Like they do this at Xiaomi, the smartphone company.
Okay. A virtual copy, so like a blueprint?
More than a blueprint. It's like a working simulation. So their engineers can test changes on this virtual factory, see what might cause problems, all without touching the real factory. This is how they can make a phone every 3 seconds. Crazy, right? By constantly tweaking and optimizing in the virtual world, then applying it to the real world.
So this whole network of smart tech is what lets these factories just run on their own.
Yep, exactly. And because you don't need people there, you don't need lights or heating or air conditioning, you save a lot of energy. And this isn't some future fantasy. Like, Farag's book is full of real-world examples of this happening right now.
Like what? Give us some real companies doing this.
Okay, Xiaomi, the one I mentioned. They have a factory that can pump out a smartphone every 3 seconds, and no human is directly involved in making it. Think about that. It's mind-blowing.
Wow, every 3 seconds? I can't even imagine that speed.
Right. And then there's Foxconn. They make electronics for tons of companies. They replaced over 60,000 workers with robots. That's how serious this shift is.
60,000? That's massive. And didn't China set some pretty ambitious targets for automation, too?
Oh, yeah. They're all in on this. Their goal is to have 80% of their manufacturing automated by, get this, 2027. That's just around the corner. They're really pushing this.
So this isn't just a few isolated cases. It's a global wave, right?
Exactly. And Farag makes this point that while China's leading the charge, it's not a China-only thing. He sees it as a global shift, like something companies have to do to stay in the game.
Okay, so who else is jumping on this bandwagon? It can't just be China.
Well, you got Japan, their robotics wizards, companies like Fenoke. They have lines running for weeks without a human in sight. Their AI can even predict when a machine needs a tune-up, so there's no downtime.
Smart. So production keeps rolling.
Yeah. Then there's Germany, Siemens. They're about 75% automated in their main factories. And their plants are smart. Like, they use AI and IoT to learn and optimize themselves constantly.
Self-optimizing factories? That's wild. What about the U.S.? I know Amazon's got a ton of robots in their warehouse.
Oh, absolutely. Amazon's a prime example. Over 750,000 robots in their warehouses worldwide. These things do almost everything, barely any human intervention. It's how they keep costs down and get your packages out so fast. For Amazon, it's not just a strategy, it's how they operate, period.
750,000 robots, that's just wow. And isn't Singapore also big on this?
Yep. Singapore's got this Smart Nation plan. They're leading in automation per person, actually. They're pushing it everywhere. And South Korea, with LG, Hyundai, they're also going big on robots in manufacturing.
So it really is an international race. And I think Farag mentioned some World Economic Forum stats, right? What were those projections?
Yeah, the World Economic Forum in 2023, they said over 50% of manufacturing jobs globally could be automated by 2035. It's huge. And 77% of businesses are planning to use AI-powered systems in the next 5 years. And get this, they think companies that are slow to automate could lose up to 40% in productivity by 2030.
40% just for lagging behind. That's a big price to pay. Yeah. So it is an arms race, like you said.
For sure. Farag calls it an arms race for industrial survival. Companies stuck in the old ways, they're going to be left behind. They won't be able to compete on price or speed.
Okay, so we get it. Dark factories are here, and they're spreading.
Yeah.
But what's the financial side of this? It can't be cheap to build these fully automated places, right?
No, you're right. It's a big investment. Farag says it can cost anywhere from $100 million to $500 million to turn a regular factory into a dark factory. Robots, AI systems, the digital twin stuff, IoT, it all adds up. Plus, you need to develop it, integrate it, test it, make sure it works. It's not a small decision.
That's a lot of cash up front. So what's the payoff? What makes it worth spending that much?
The savings and benefits down the line are enormous. First off, no more human workforce costs. No salaries, benefits, HR, all that goes away. Farag says one robot can do the work of like 10 people.
Yeah.
And no more sick leave, no people quitting, no strikes. It's predictable.
A very reliable workforce, I guess. What else makes it financially attractive?
You save a ton on energy. No lights, no heating, no AC for people. Big savings and good for the environment too. And you practically eliminate waste. AI makes sure you use materials perfectly, fewer mistakes, fewer products that get returned.
Less waste, fewer defects. That alone must be worth a lot. And higher quality products, too.
Right. Siemens, they said they reduced defects by 95% in their automated factory. And Xiaomi increased production by 900%. It's crazy. And it's safer, too. Fanuc, they have almost no workplace accidents because there are no humans in harm's way.
Yeah, that's important. Factories can be dangerous places. And what about scaling up? Can these dark factories adapt to changes in demand quickly?
Definitely. They're very flexible. You can reprogram the AI and robots to make new products or adjust to more or less demand, like Tesla, they're a gigafactory. That's a good example. They use automation to ramp up production super fast. Machines don't need to be retrained, just reconfigured.
So it seems like the equation is spend a lot up front, but then you save a lot, you get better quality, and you can adapt to changes. It's a competitive edge.
Exactly. Farag's point is that this big upfront cost is becoming like the price of admission if you want to stay relevant in the long run. You got to keep up.
Okay, so it's good for business, but let's talk about the human side of this. The book doesn't sugarcoat the job losses, does it?
No, not at all. Farag calls it a global tsunami of displacement. The numbers are scary, honestly. The World Economic Forum says 85 million jobs could be gone by 2025 because of automation. Oxford Economics says up to 20 million manufacturing jobs could disappear by 2030. And McKinsey, they say AI could displace 1 in 3 workers in the U.S. by 2030.
That's a lot of people without jobs. What kinds of jobs are we talking about here?
Oh, all sorts. Factory workers, obviously, especially those doing repetitive stuff, they're most at risk. But it goes further. Office jobs, warehouse workers, delivery drivers, retail, even some cleaning jobs. The book talks about a 2-speed economy where people with tech skills will do great, but everyone else will struggle to find good jobs. Think about your own career, what you do. If it's something repetitive, maybe it's time to look at something else, something that needs human skills.
So more inequality. The gap between the haves and have-nots gets bigger. And Farag talks about the impact on individuals, right? Beyond just losing their jobs.
Yeah, it's not just about money. People lose 30% to 60% of their income when their jobs disappear. And the new jobs they find often pay less and are less secure. And their skills don't match what's needed, so it's hard to find anything at all. But it's more than that. People lose their identity, their sense of purpose. Farag links this to higher suicide rates, mental health problems. It's a real crisis.
It's easy to forget that side of it, the personal cost. And what about whole communities? What happens to them?
Oh, it can be devastating. When a factory closes down because of robots, towns that relied on that factory, they just collapse. Less taxes, schools lose funding, crime goes up. Farag calls it epidemic depression. He talks about places like Flint, Michigan, the whole Rust Belt, really struggling.
It's a bleak picture. And what about the bigger picture, the whole economy?
There's this weird paradox. Automation can boost the economy, make more stuff, cheaper, GDP goes up. But if nobody has a job, nobody can buy that stuff. Demand dries up and the economy stalls. It's not just about money, it's about what we value. If robots make everything, what's the point of human work? It changes everything about how we think about economics. Keep that in mind when you think about the future.
So we might end up with lots of cheap stuff, but nobody who can afford it. That's not a good outcome.
Not at all. Farag says we need to retrain people, give them new skills, but only a small number of companies are actually doing that.
So how do we fix this? How do we prepare people for this new world of work? The old ways aren't going to cut it.
Right. The problem is that skills are becoming outdated super fast. Like Farag says half of what engineers learn in their first year of college is useless by the time they graduate. Skills only last about 2.5 years now. So just getting a degree isn't enough. You need to keep learning, adapt to new stuff all the time.
So the idea of a stable career based on what you learned in school, that's gone.
Pretty much. Those repetitive jobs are disappearing. What you need are skills machines can't do. Solving complex problems, thinking critically, being creative, communicating well. It's not about knowing stuff. It's about knowing how to learn new stuff.
The book talks about de-skilling, upskilling, and reskilling, right? Can you explain what those mean?
Sure. De-skilling means your skills become less valuable because a machine can do your job now. Like if you were an assembly line worker, robots are de-skilling you. Upskilling means you learn new stuff to work with the new tech, like that assembly line worker could learn to operate the robots. And reskilling means you learn a completely new job. Maybe that worker could learn data analysis or cybersecurity.
Okay, so you're not just improving your old skills, you're learning completely new ones. And companies are also changing how they train people, right? Moving away from those just-in-case plans to, what was it?
Just in time, human performance improvement. Yeah. So the old way, individual development plans, they were long-term, focused on career goals you might have years down the line, like learning a skill just in case you need it someday. But HPI, that's more focused on what the company needs right now. It's like instead of a career roadmap, it's a GPS that reroutes you in real time. You learn exactly what you need to do your job right now, no more, no less.
So it's more agile, adapting to the current needs. And what about these pay-for-skills models? How do they work?
So instead of paying you based on your job title or how long you've been there, they pay you based on what skills you actually have. Like you get a raise if you learn a new programming language or get a certification. It encourages people to keep learning and rewards them for having valuable skills. LinkedIn and Deloitte say more and more companies are doing this.
So it's not about your job title. It's about what you can actually do. That seems fair.
Yeah, it's about being more than just a cog in the machine. It's about being a problem solver, someone who can think for themselves, come up with new ideas. That's what companies need, and that's what machines can't do.
So how do we create good reskilling programs? What are some examples of things that work?
Well, Farag says reskilling is not optional anymore. It's like survival. He likes these structured certification programs. They focus on specific jobs. They give you a recognized credential. They're fast-paced, and companies often pay for them.
Okay, so give us some concrete examples. Who's doing this right?
Amazon is a big one. They're spending $1.2 billion to retrain 300,000 employees for higher-paying tech jobs. They have a machine learning university, robotics apprenticeships. They even pay for you to learn stuff outside of Amazon if it's a high-demand field. They're serious about it.
That's a lot of money. They're putting their money where their mouth is.
Another good one is Stanley Black & Decker. They have this Maker USA program. It's about bringing back skilled trades, things like advanced manufacturing. They work with community colleges, give people certifications that are actually useful so they can find jobs.
So these programs, they focus on specific jobs, give you credentials that employers want, and it's a team effort, right? Companies, schools, everyone working together.
Yeah, Farag makes the point that nobody can solve this alone. It takes tech companies, schools, the government, nonprofits. Everyone needs to be involved. Like IBM has the Skills Build platform. Siemens works with Georgia Tech. Singapore has Skills Future. These are all partnerships.
So it's about creating a whole ecosystem for reskilling.
Exactly. Everyone wins. People get the skills they need. Companies get qualified workers. The economy benefits.
Now, the book also talks about these unified management platforms, UMPs. What are those, and why are they important now with all this automation?
So think about it. Companies are using all these different AI tools for different things, HR, finance, you name it. But they don't always talk to each other. It's a mess. UMPs are like a central hub for all this stuff. It integrates everything, all driven by AI.
So instead of having separate software for each department, you have one system for everything.
Right. And everyone's working with the same data, no more confusion. Deloitte, PwC, Forrester, they've all shown that UMPs make companies way more efficient. They can adapt to change faster, save money, and their employees are happier.
Okay, so what can these UMPs actually do? What makes them so useful in an automated world?
Well, they give you real-time data, so you can make smart decisions. You can monitor everything remotely using IoT and digital twins. You can do better planning, run simulations, what-if scenarios. They have AI tools that help you forecast demand, predict risks. You get these cool dashboards that show you all the important stuff. And they use digital twins and predictive analytics to test things out virtually before you do them in the real world.
So it's like having a super smart control center for the whole company.
Yeah, exactly. And there are UMPs for every size company, big ones like Workday and SAP SuccessFactors, smaller ones like Lattice and Bamboo HR. But Farag says, be careful, there can be hidden costs. Setup fees, customization, licenses, support, it can add up.
So you need to choose the right one for your needs and budget.
Definitely. If you pick the wrong one or underestimate the work involved in setting it up, it can actually make things worse.
Now, even though we're talking about automation, the book also talks about hybrid models, right?
Mm-hmm.
Combining automation with human expertise. Can you explain that?
So the idea is that the future isn't just robots taking over. It's about humans and machines working together, each doing what they're good at. Machines are great for repetitive tasks, data crunching, heavy lifting, that sort of thing. But humans are still better at problem solving, critical thinking, making judgment calls, understanding emotions, all that.
So it's about finding the right balance, the right roles for each.
Exactly. Farag gives examples like Siemens. They use AI to flag potential problems, but then human engineers figure out the real cause and how to fix it. And Amazon still has lots of people working in their warehouses doing things robots can't, and they're training those people for more technical roles as well. It's about getting the best of both worlds.
So you're enhancing human capabilities with tech, not replacing them.
Right. And there are ways to make this transition smoother. You need to rethink job roles, train people for new skills, be transparent with your employees, involve them in the changes, maybe even create spaces where humans and AI work side by side. But Farag also warns about going too far with automation. You could lose critical thinking skills, ethical decision-making, people might get scared and distrustful. It's about finding the right balance.
So you can automate tasks, but you can't automate judgment or human connection.
Exactly. We still need humans for creativity, ethics, building relationships, all that.
And finally, the book talks about the bigger picture, the impact on society as a whole. It's not just a business issue, right?
No, it's a huge societal issue. Farag says we could end up with mass unemployment, more inequality, even social unrest if we don't handle this carefully. He talks about universal basic income, UBI, as a way to help people who lose their jobs. It would give everyone a basic income, no matter what.
UBI, that's a big idea. What are the arguments for it?
Well, if robots are doing most of the work, some people think everyone should get a basic income, regardless of whether they have a job or not. This way, people can still buy stuff even if they're not working, which keeps the economy going. It also reduces poverty, gives people security, and frees them up to retrain or do something else meaningful. Some countries have tried it out, and the early results are promising.
Okay, so besides UBI, what else can governments do?
Farag says they need to be bold, do more than just talk, invest in big retraining programs like Germany's doing, give companies tax breaks for retraining workers or creating new jobs, not just for buying robots, fund STEM education, help tech startups, maybe even tax automation to fund social safety nets.
So governments have a big role to play in making sure this transition is fair and sustainable.
Absolutely. Farag says automation could make us richer in the short term, but in the long run, it could ruin society if we don't manage it well. We also need to think about cybersecurity because our systems are becoming more and more connected, more vulnerable, and there's this global competition going on, an automation race. Everyone wants to be on top.
And what about companies? What's their responsibility in all this?
Farag says corporate social responsibility is more important than ever. Companies need to think about the ethics of automation, make sure they're not just replacing humans for profit. They need to retrain their workers, help their communities. They need to focus on solving human problems, not just automating everything. He says companies should be judged not just on how much money they make, but also on how much good they do for society.
So everyone needs to step up. Governments, companies, individuals, we all need to work together.
Exactly. And leaders, they need to think differently. They need to be strategic, focus on innovation, keep learning, and make ethical decisions. Farag says true leadership is about making technology work for humans, not the other way around.
Well, this has been a fascinating look at dark factories, based on Amr Farag's book. It's clear this isn't science fiction anymore. It's changing the world right now.
Yeah, the big takeaways are that dark factories are here to stay, they're making things more efficient, but we need to figure out how to retrain workers, how to be ethical, how to govern this new world, and how to lead in a way that benefits everyone.
And with that, here's something for you to think about. With all this automation happening, what skills do you think will be most valuable in the next 10 years? What can you do right now to prepare for this new world of work? It's something we all need to be thinking about. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.